Okay, are you guys ready? We're gonna call this meeting to order. It's 6 o'clock. And first we're going to start with a prayer by James Shinko.
Let's bow our heads. Gracious God, we thank you for our leaders, and we pray that you would give them wisdom as they seek to serve our city. We pray that you would continue to bless us and make us a community that people would want to come to. And we pray that as we do business here, that the decisions we make would be according to your will, for your glory and the good of our neighbor. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen. Amen.
Okay, can we do roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Dale.
Present.
Alderman Elder. Alderman Langford.
Here.
Alderman Linder.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderman Rubel.
Here.
All present except Alderman Elder.
Okay, next, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Alderman Linder. Do I have a second? Second by Alderman Rubel. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda are public comments. Do we have anyone that is here for public comments? Okay. Moving right along, we're going to go down to additions and deletions to the agenda. And I do have one thing that I want to add to the agenda, and it is the bid for an airport lawnmower, and I can make that number 4 under new business. Do I have a motion to accept adding that to the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion made by Alderman Linder. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Alderman Langford. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, under old business, first we were revisiting the air evac that the city would buy for the employees, which also one of the things that was being asked is, does it cover the household, which it does. Got just a few more details about that. First of all, the cost per employee is $75. So we have approximately 99 employees. So close to $7,500 would be the cost for this. A couple of things in the contract that I just want you guys to be aware of, that with this Air Med Care network, the patient will be transported to the closest appropriate medical facility for medical conditions that are deemed by this company, by this provider. They have to approve, the attending medical professionals must deem that they are life or limb threatening or that could lead to permanent disability, which require emergency air ambulance transport. Their medical condition, not membership status, will dictate whether or not they are air transported. That is appropriate and required. Under all circumstances, they retain the sole right and responsibility to determine whether or not a patient is flown. So I want to make sure that y'all know that that is part of the contract. And what happens when someone has an insurance policy that covers this, that they pay the overage. So if you have a medical plan that covers that already and it doesn't cover 15% or whatever, they will just cover the part that your regular insurance does not cover. Also, just a reminder that, if they are injured on the job, the city would be the ones that would be responsible for for their care if they were, injured. Work comp would take care of any of this if it was city-related. Are there any questions that I can answer? I'm not the insurance expert. I'm just passing on the information. This would be something that we would have to put in the budget.
Excuse me, I have one question before we do. So to get the total cost, you would go 85 employees times to 75, and they give the total cost per year. Is that correct?
Well, that number of employees is a little bit low, so per employee, $75.
I think we said last time, there's 99 employees.
Yes.
I'll second to add it to the budget whenever we look at budgets again.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table from Alderman Langford to accept the air evac proposal, and a second by Alderman Dale. So let's take a vote on that, unless there's any more discussion.
Alderman Langford.
Yes.
Alderman Linder.
Yes.
Alderman Proctor.
Yes.
Alderman Rubel.
No.
Vice Mayor Dale.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next on the agenda is the second reading of ordinance 2025-5-1. On what? Okay. Okay, at this point, I'm going to open it up for a public hearing on this ordinance.
Would you summarize the ordinance, please?
Summarize the what?
For the ordinance?
Yes. I'll probably just read the majority of it, but it was an ordinance by the mayor and board of aldermen at the town of Livingston amending permit fees for building permits under Title 12 of the Municipal Code. It recognized there's a significant commitment of time and municipal resources in the inspection of new construction and other work for which a building permit is required within the corporate limits of the town of Livingston. The fees assessed for building permit applications are intended to offset the administrative cost of inspecting construction work and ensuring compliance with the building standards adopted by the municipal code. The current fee of 1/2% of the total cost of construction is insufficient in all cases to offset the administrative cost of inspection and compliance efforts. It's in the best interest of the town of Livingston and its citizens to monitor and enforce compliance with the building codes adopted by the town for health and safety and welfare in public. It's determined it's in the best interest of the town to set a minimum standard building permit fee to effectively meet the administrative cost of building inspection and enforcement within the corporate limits. So it's setting the fees for building permits are as follows. 1/2% of the total cost of the project, or $75, whichever is greater. This ordinance shall become effective upon its final passing.
Okay, my name is Ron Lane. Just one question. Every once in a while, we, and I believe appropriately, allow that there will be no permit fees for some special situation, like maybe somebody building housing, then we've agreed that there won't be any permit fees. That was our town's participation in something like that. Wasn't there some sort of Habitat for Humanity kind of thing where we agreed no permit fees?
What we've done instead of waiving those fees is consider that a charitable donation to the town, because we have appropriated some money in the budget to make a charitable donation, so that's how we
So that's
characterize that
what-
instead of waiving the fee.
And yet, that entity would still be inspected and all those things, all those chores we would still do even though they're not really paying a fee,
Every
correct?
time you're issued a building permit, you're inspected.
Thank you.
Any other comments about the permit ordinance? Okay, at this time, I will close the public hearing and restart the meeting. Do I have a motion on passing this ordinance? Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Linder. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Alderman Proctor. All in favor, say aye. Okay.
At what stage in your building do we actually require a building permit? How much building do we have to do before that we have to buy this building permit? We're gonna have to have a building permit?
A permit's not going to be required for that, and I should know the fee on that, but there's a minimum fee on when you have to have a permit.
I think that's right, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it for you.
Gosh, what is it? I know there's a minimum, I don't know where it is on our, on the website, but I know it is available. It's just not on that application.
Can we table it until next meeting?
I say we table it until next meeting. I can probably text someone by the end of the meeting, but we can just wait until next meeting to do this, if I have a motion to do that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Linder to table the second reading of ordinance 2025-5-1. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Alderman Rubel. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Okay, next up is Jean Gant with our Main Street Historic District.
Hello, everybody. Wanted to give you an update on our concert that we had the other night. If you were anywhere in the neighborhood of downtown Livingston, you probably saw all the commotion. It was extremely successful. We had one of the largest crowds we've ever had in town. Maybe one time it was a little better, but we're going to go with this was the best one ever. We know we accounted for about 1,000 tickets that were people pre-registered for, and we think about another 500 to 600 people at least showed up. So it was somewhere around 1,500 to 2,000 people. Every parking spot in town was full, including the square and down toward the community center. The whole place was full, and everybody had a great time. There were no issues that we ran into. Everybody behaved herself, so it was a great success. This coming weekend is Pioneer Days. It starts off on Friday. It'll be again the Friday, Saturday as usual, but it will be at Central Park this year because we were put it there for the pending construction. We didn't know when that would take place, so we went ahead and committed to moving it for this year. So those are the two things I wanted to talk to you about the activities that we've been up to. Report on the projects. Well, before I go to that, August the 2nd, I'll remind us, August the 2nd is our next concert, and then there's one on August the 9th as well. Those are ticketed events. There will be a charge for those. So we're hoping that we have the same size crowd. If we get that same size crowd, we'd be in good shape. For the projects up on the square, we have concurrence from TDOT on the courthouse project. There were, as Ray mentioned last meeting, there was some additional cost, and that money was available from TDOT to cover that. We're scheduling a contract or a construction meeting in the next couple of weeks, and I think that there'll be a contract at some point too brought to you for approval. So that's about to get underway. We anticipate the time frame on that is about 4 months, depending on weather. Maybe a little faster, but if the weather's bad, then of course that'll slow everything down. We will lose the parking places on the inside of the square, and we're working diligently with the business owners and building owners and merchants to find suitable off-site parking for them to keep the spots open for their customers. We've got a map prepared to show where alternative parking is so that customers could park there as well if they wanted to. It'll be tight, but we are going to do everything we can to make it as smooth as possible. On the sidewalk projects, I don't have an update on that other than we still don't have the approval from TDOT. We're still waiting on that. The Little and Cedar Streets, no more update on that as well. It's still where it was before. And I think that's all I have. Unless you have something to add, Mayor. I
don't think so. And as soon as we know a notice to proceed date and then get a date from Mid-State Construction on when they'll be starting, we'll make sure we get that date out to the public as far as parking. And we have some parking maps that we're going to provide to show that. So. And I think we talked about doing a visit to all the merchants around the square as well so that they are fully informed and understand what's going on. Okay. Thanks, Gene.
Now, Gene, just for people that are listening in, the parking is only affected while construction. We don't lose that parking permanently, right?
That is correct, yes. It's only for construction, it's not permanently. Well, that's one of the reasons we want to go around and talk to everybody too, is there had been some misconception about what was going to happen up there. The monuments are staying, they're not going to be removed. It's going to be it's a beautiful square now, but it's going to be much better after we get these sidewalks fixed and some of the changes made. So it's going to be a great place.
Thanks, Gene. And next up is Zach Stevens from our Chamber of Commerce.
Howdy. Thank you all, as always, for leaving a few moments for me to speak. I've been on the job for about 2 months now, and I want to share a few of the strategic areas of focus that the Chamber is going to be working on in the year ahead, since I've had a little time to get some footing. So and this is going to be very high level, and then in the coming months, I'm going to share more detail on these areas. So, of course, we work with the Main Street Historic District Commission on events that happen around our downtown area and various initiatives, and hope and will continue to make those events a success. And want to, of course, make the Church Street and that area continue building upon the revitalization of that area. Sorry. In addition, we want to be seen as a primary catalyst for economic development. And what that means is working with our established manufacturers to attract new business and foster an environment of entrepreneurship. In addition, we want to be seen as a place where they can come and for expansions and any other resources they might need. In addition, tourism is huge, of course, and that's part of what Main Street is doing. But we, of course, know that every marketing dollar we invest in promoting Livingston and Overton County returns value through increased tourism and community visibility. And our efforts will, of course, put the city and, of course, also the county on the map as a destination to visit. We're, of course, also working on workforce development. And part of that is working with our higher education partners and building some strategic partnerships with them. And we have some great assets here with Vol State and TCAT. And we're truly blessed to have those. Many small towns our size don't have that. And of course, we have the proximity to Tennessee Tech as well. So we want to make sure that we are working with them to support economic growth and making sure that businesses can find skilled workers. And finally, I would say, coming from working around government and around the Capitol, advocacy is a huge component, especially whenever it comes to our Main Street Historic District Commission. And even from a chamber's perspective as well, I think we need to be a unified voice for all businesses in Livingston and Overton County. There was a bill up in the legislature this past year to fund the downtown revitalization program into perpetuity, and that bill failed. So moving forward, we want to make sure we're at the Capitol advocating for that so we can keep that money moving forward. So to close on this, economic development, tourism, workforce development, advocacy, and working with our Main Street is kind of what we're focusing on in the year ahead. And I'm going to be talking about those things in more detail as we move forward. Also want to hit on two things real quick. Our unemployment numbers for the county are actually quite good. They're actually better than the state for our latest numbers. We're at 2.8% for April, which is the latest numbers. and the state was 3.9, or 2.9, excuse me. And our sales tax collection for Overton County was also up this past month. So in any ways, we're looking up. So thank you all so much.
Thanks, Zach, and for the good news. Okay, next on the agenda, I have a resolution I'm going to read about the sale of some surplus property by the Livingston Police Department. So the town of Livingston Police Department has on its inventory 2 pieces of equipment. It has been identified this equipment as being surplus to the needs of the town and requested by the chief of police as determined to be in the public interest to sell this equipment. The chief of police has requested that this equipment be declared surplus to the needs of the town and sold so that the police department will no longer be required to maintain this equipment on its inventory and account for them on an annual basis. Now therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and board of aldermen of the town of Livingston. Section 1, the following described property is hereby declared to be surplus to the needs of the town of Livingston. 1 is a 1981 International Harvester Loader 530, and the next one is a 2005 John Deere 850J Track Dozer. The above described surplus property shall be sold. We've got public auction here, but it's Gov Deals is where the property will be sold. This resolution shall become effective upon its passage, the welfare of the town requiring it. Does anyone have any questions? And we have Chief Smith here, that if there are any questions about this.
I'll make a motion to approve as long as we change that public auction to whatever we need to.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Alderman Dale. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a second by Alderman Proctor. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next up is the budget. Joel will be coming to the podium to go over that with us.
Each of you should have a copy of the proposed for the first reading of the budget. You'll find that the comparison currently available is the original budget from the previous year. The mayor and I have, and Phyllis, the recorder, have gone through a great deal of these items looking for abnormalities, significant changes from last year, projected numbers from this year which are not yet available. Those should be available by the second reading. Then we can dive into those numbers at that time a little bit more. As far as the general fund, we're looking at the various taxes would be first category on page 1, increasing to approximately 3.8 million, 3,850,000-ish. Governmental grants, the different shares of revenue would be increased by approximately 190,000. I don't want to read through every number, but I'm definitely happy to discuss any that stick out to you. There are raises that are projected. You can see the increase from the original budget to the proposed budget. Now, understand that the original budget does not necessarily reflect the ending budget for 2024-25. As any budget, we will have proposed amending. The 24-25 has not yet been amended. That's why you only have the budget, original budget right now. The amended budget will be presented to you on, I believe it's June 23rd. We won't have those numbers ready until we assess where we are with the current numbers for 24-25, which naturally ends on June 30th, 2025. So when we have those projected numbers, we'll have to amend the budget to, I say we've got a particular line item or a category that says the budget was proposed for that particular category. Let's just say general government, which has majority of the employees or a great number of employees and expenses and repair costs, city garage. Let's just say that had a budget of $1,052,000 that was projected, and if there have been unknown expenses that carries it beyond that approved budget, we have to amend the budget to correctly appropriate additional funds to cover the expenses that have been incurred. Same thing for revenue, where we projected $1,818,000 property tax. We'll have that final figure because you're continue to collect property taxes even at this time, late in the year. So we'll amend it if necessary to reflect the more accurate number. Same thing for every page. The expenses will be compared to the original budget, and those that have a significant change will be amended, or those amended numbers will be provided to you to assess whether or not to amend it or not. The general fund as it is right now, the proposed 25-26 budget is projected to have a excess expense over projected funds of $372,969, which is on page 4 at the bottom. When it's all said and done, there may be additional grants that are not yet projected to be received in 25-26. And also your expenses that are projected may not materialize, or you may have more expenses. At current time, the mayor is projecting a $372,969 essentially a charge to the equity, the beginning equity, which is projected to be $3,243,330, leaving a strong equity balance at the end of $2.8 million, $70,361. The street fund is pretty much a wash. Expected to perhaps dip into the equity of by $1,550. No significant changes there. Home rehab has no activity proposed for 2025-26. On page 7, the drug fund has very little activity, revenue projected to offset the expenses. Industrial Development Fund has the same projected income to cover really no expenses. So that's going to be whatever is received generally is the only activity. The General Debt Service Fund is strong. We are looking at, well, it's not presented on here, but there is supposed to be a $400,000 transfer out, a $100,000 transfer out to the general fund to help cover the excess expenses, the expenses that exceed the projected revenue. What is not on here, I'm just now reminded about it. I believe the mayor is going to project or ask that you look at increasing the property tax by a nickel, which is the minimum suggested increase annually by MTAS. That is not reflected on this until you guys look at it and approve it, if you decide to do that. Water and Sewer Fund is projected to have a small increase of 21,000, all things being as they're predicted. And the Gas Fund, too, is predicted to cover its own expense, cover all costs with the projected revenue. What sort of questions do you have for me?
Now, we schedule a workshop to go over it in detail. Is that what we do?
We haven't at this time, but I mean, that's something that we can discuss if that's needed.
I'm sorry.
I said I don't have anything scheduled at this time, but that's something that we can set up if that's what you'd like to do.
I mean, I appreciate you, telling us about it, but there's a lot of figures on here.
We'll take it and look at it as well, just to, ask any questions that you need this week after you go through it.
I feel that the mayor has presented her numbers very well. Being a numbers person, having worked with you for many, many years, I believe her numbers are very solid. We had worked quite a bit this afternoon after I helped her compare from one budget to another, looking at the projected numbers that we do have. I advised her accordingly. Some items, I think you're very low. I think we need to look at this. There were several numbers I thought she had under-projected on revenue. Some of those were water, sewer, gas charges, potential likely to receive grants from the state. I thought that was understated. We looked at payroll. I had questions about that. We talked about her numbers that she was projecting as far as increases. We spent the greater day afternoon looking at select items. I feel very strong that she's done a good job.
Well, I'm sure she has, but I'd like to have more detail.
Oh, I'm not asking you to pass it
for
tonight. I want you to look at each number. And if you have questions, let me know. Let Phyllis know, and she'll get those questions to me. But I'm not telling you to take it at full strength right now.
No.
Chew on it. What doesn't taste good, let me know.
So the second reading's on the 23rd, and then it has to be final by the 30th, 31st? 30 days?
30, yes.
That's correct.
And one of the items that I have in here in the public safety, I am doing some salary comparisons to see if, we have our schedule where we do steps for yearly raises, and I am studying to make sure that we are on track with other municipalities our size. So there may be some provision needed to go past one step on a few of them, and that's something that I'll put before you for the final reading or at a work session to get your approval before I would do that, obviously. So. any other questions tonight that you guys have.
I do want to add, since I thought about it, it's unusual it's somewhat unusual to have a negative projected net change in fund balance on page 4. I attribute a fair amount of that to the COVID money that you've had for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years now. And a lot of that has gone to equipment, necessary fixtures, improvements. Some of that naturally has gone to cover ongoing cost. Some of those costs will remain, and yet the revenue is disappearing. So we've had some really nice COVID grants of in excess of $600,000 for the last 2 years. Likely that's going to go away. But some of the remaining costs that have been absorbed by some of those funds will not have gone away. So that's a part of it.
Who else? Any other questions? Do I have a motion to pass the first reading of the budget as stated tonight?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Dale. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a second by Alderman Linder. Let's do a roll call vote.
Alderman Proctor?
Okay.
Pardon? I'll push my button. Okay.
Alderman Rubel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dale?
Yes.
Alderman Langford?
Yes.
Alderman Linder?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, one more thing is the airport lawnmower bid. We put a notice out for bid for a lawnmower for the airport. We got one bid, and we do have grant money for this. And it was $8,699, and that was the only bid that we had for the lawnmower.
Who was it?
It is
Is it on the back?
full mower service.
Oh, okay.
So you said a grant, so it's not going to come out of the general fund, correct?
That is correct.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Linder. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Langford. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay, is there any other business? Rex, you're on. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn by Alderman Dale. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Alderman Rubel. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.